Something here is making giant waves in the gene pool.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 scariest movie monsters. For this list, we'll be looking at the most frightening monsters in movie history. Which of these did you find the scariest? Let us know in the comments below. Number 20, The Crooked Man, The Conjuring 2. Valak is the primary antagonist of the Conjuring series, and it takes its scariest form in The Conjuring 2 as the Crooked Man.
There was the Crooked Man.
This is a bizarre creature with a very lanky frame, greyish skin, and a wide smile filled with sharp teeth. But perhaps the scariest thing about it is the way it moves. When appearing to Billy, the Crooked Man walks in a very erratic and supernatural manner. The creature is played by a Spanish actor named Javier Botet. Botet has been cast as numerous movie creatures owing to his height and hypermobility, which is a symptom of his Marfan syndrome. Botet does an exceptional job as the Crooked Man, creating what could be the scariest monster in a franchise full of them.
Here I come.
Am I talking to the spirit that's oppressing this family?
Number 19, The Dementors, the Harry Potter franchise. Introduced in The Prisoner of Azkaban and appearing sporadically throughout the franchise, the Dementors are some of the freakiest monsters in young adult literature. What a Dementor really is, no one really knows. All we know is they're wraith-like creatures that guard the most notorious prison in the wizarding world.
What was that thing? Okay.
It was a Dementor, one of the guards of Azkaban. It's gone now. He was searching the train for Sirius Black.
Their physical appearance is quite startling, but it's what they do that's most terrifying. With the help of their circular gaping mouths, Dementors glide towards their victims and quite literally suck out their souls.
Listen, Harry, they've captured Scariest. Any minute the Dementors are going to perform the kiss.
You mean they're gonna kill him?
No, it's worse. Much worse. They're going to suck out his soul.
One Dementor is terrifying, let alone a large group of them. There's a reason even the most hardened criminals fear them with every inch of their being. Number 18, The Wendigo, Antlers. The Wendigo is a mythological creature originating in First Nations folklore. It's appeared in numerous pieces of pop culture throughout the years, typically as some type of large beast-like creature that preys on humans. An absolutely terrifying iteration of the Wendigo appears in Antlers.
Is that the kind of thing you taught in California? I don't think that's gonna fly here.
The physical design of this monster is both imaginative and wonderfully realised. Towards the end of the film, Carrie Russell's character comes across the Wendigo in the dark and sees a human face is draped over its head. That image alone is worth the price of admission, but the rest of the creature is equally terrifying. Suffice to say, this is the last thing we'd want to see inside a flashlight beam. Number 17, The Clown, Krampus. We don't know how people think of these things. The Clown doesn't get much screen time in Krampus, but its design is unforgettable.
Oh, come on.
It consists of a very large worm-like horizontal body, but the most imaginative element of the monster is easily its face. The clown has a face much like a vintage porcelain doll, and a massive fleshy mouth that opens wide enough to devour humans. The contrast between the fleshy muscle and porcelain face is marvellously grotesque. It looks revolting and provides a tantalizing glimpse into the creature's biology. The practical effects and sound design are also fantastic, making a scary monster even scarier.
Hey! Give me back my kids, you fudger!
Number 16, Lipstick Face Demon, Insidious franchise. Despite his admittedly goofy name, the Lipstick Face Demon is one of the most terrifying monsters of the 2010s.
What's happening to Renee is real. I've seen it for myself.
For one thing, he's the central part of one of the most effective jump scares in modern horror history. The demon appears right behind Josh's shoulder, accompanied by a startlingly effective growl in the midst of a tension-filled silence.
I can still hear that voice.
Its design is fairly typical of devils or demonic creatures, complete with a red and black face and hooves. Regardless, its design is still very effective, and the lipstick-faced demon helped turn the Insidious franchise into the box office mega success it became. Number 15, Moda, The Ritual. Who knew that this little British film would produce one of the most effective monsters of the decade? Moda is another Wendigo-like creature, appearing in full at the very end of The Ritual. It doesn't get much screen time, but the time it does get is both haunting and impressive. We don't even know how to describe this thing. It's like if a human, a bear, and an elk fused together in a grotesque mass of limbs that towered 20 feet into the air. The physical design of this monster is simply incredible, with its dangling human arms, torso-like antlers, and beady yellow eyes being particular highlights. We don't know what it is, but then again, we don't really want to find out. Number 14, Crawlers, the Descent franchise. Caves are a frightening place to be. We instinctively fear them because they're dark, deep, and labyrinthine. Oh, and there's also the fact that we don't know what's hiding in their depths, watching from the shadows and waiting to strike.
It's circling us. Where is it?
The Descent starts scary enough, but it gets even worse when the Crawlers get involved. These are humanoid creatures who've lived in dark caves for an undetermined amount of time. This has turned them into territorial and cannibalistic monsters who violently defend their home from outside visitors, namely spelunkers hoping for a taste of adventure. Finding a bear inside a cave is freaky. Finding these things is positively nightmarish. Number 13, The Mutant Bear, Annihilation. With a story centered around intermixing DNA, we expected some imaginative creature design.
Do you think it's a crossbreed?
We can't crossbreed between different species.
Well, we certainly got that and then some. In what's arguably the movie's most memorable scene, a mutant bear arrives to sniff out the vulnerable protagonists. The creature is a horrific mixture between black bear and human. Its body is bear-like, but the skin on its face has rotted away, leaving behind an exposed skull. But the scariest part by far is its fusion with Cass. The bear's roaring is intermingled with Cass's human screams, and it looks like Cass's skull has been merged with the bear's. Both the sound and physical design of this creature are masterful, combining to create one of the most unforgettable movie monsters in recent memory. Number 12, The Babadook. The Babadook. This horror movie from Jennifer Kent made major waves when released in 2014, with many calling it a modern masterpiece. There are a number of factors for its strong critical reception, including the creature design. The Babadook is a very creepy creature that appears with massive claw-like appendages and a ghostly white humanoid face. It doesn't help that the Babadook often sticks to the shadows, letting our imaginations run wild. Perhaps even scarier than its physical design is what it represents. The Babadook is a metaphor for Amelia's grief, so his presence is palpably felt even when he's not on the screen.
I don't want you to go away. I'm not going anywhere.
It's quite a dour movie, and it's all thanks to its titular creature. Number 11, The Death Angels, A Quiet Place franchise. The first Quiet Place was one of the most popular horror movies of the late 2010s, and that's thanks in large part to its monsters. Not so much their design, although it's certainly effective, but what they do and represent. With the help of hypersensitive hearing, the monsters pounce on anything and anyone that makes noise. This causes everyone to live in constant fear and paranoia, forced to monitor each and every activity for even a modicum of sound. Their danger is horrifically established in the first 5 minutes of the movie, when a long-legged creature swipes young Beau before his family's eyes. an incredibly successful formula, and it's led to numerous and inferior copycats. Number 10. The Blair Witch. The Blair Witch franchise. Despite initially never appearing on the screen, the Blair Witch is one of the scariest movie monsters of all time. What we don't see is always scarier than what we do.
I'm scared to close my eyes. I'm scared to open them.
It lets our imaginations fill in the gaps, and our imaginations are always scarier than what can be conjured through practical effects. It also helps that the Blair Witch Project is so masterfully constructed. The inventive camera work and strong acting had the world convinced that this was genuine footage, at least for a little while. We know hardly anything about the Blair Witch, its history, what it wants, etc. All we know is that it causes incredible paranoia in its victims, and that's certainly enough for us.
Nothing happened. I'm just very hungry. I'm very tired. And I'm very scared and I just want to go home, okay?
Okay.
Number 9. Jaws. Jaws. Steven Spielberg has long been regarded as one of the best directors in movie history, and he became a household name with Jaws. The movie's filming process was notoriously awful, complete with a mechanical shark that never seemed to work. But Spielberg pulled it off with some imaginative filmmaking techniques. The Blair Witch Project clearly took a note out of Spielberg's playbook, as he rarely shows the shark. The creature's underwater POV shots and the accompanying music are iconic, and Spielberg didn't shy away from the bloody carnage that it wrought. Of course, the movie works exceptionally well even when the shark is on screen. It still looks amazing to this day. One only needs to watch Quint's excruciating death scene to realise that.
Smile, you son of a...
Number 8. Rexy, the Jurassic Park franchise. There's no exaggerating it. The T-Rex's appearance in Jurassic Park is one of the most iconic scenes in movie history.
Say again. We have a T-Rex.
Spielberg strikes yet again, creating both the greatest and scariest on-screen depiction of a dinosaur. Credit also goes to Stan Winston and his team of special effects artists. They created an animatronic T-Rex that stood 20 feet high and weighed over 17,000 pounds. The result is pure movie magic.
Being right all the time.
Everyone who's seen Jurassic Park has fond memories of the pounding rain, the shaking water, the approaching booms and shakes, and the face of the T-Rex appearing over the fence. And that roar. Oh god, that roar. Hey! Number 7. Count Orlok, Nosferatu. It's amazing how Count Orlok has stood the test of time. Conceived and filmed in the early 20th century, Orlok has nevertheless remained a haunting symbol of the horror genre. While the character is based on Count Dracula, or more accurately ripped off from Count Dracula, he shares little in common with other on-screen iterations of the iconic character. He's far more demonic in appearance, complete with tall, lanky frame, pointy claws, and that incredibly creepy face that's caused a century's worth of nightmares. We tend to think of silent films as crude predecessors of modern cinema, but Orlok's design proves otherwise. It's innovative, and best of all, it's still disturbingly effective. Number 6. The Pale Man, Pan's Labyrinth. Guillermo del Toro is well known for his fantastical creature designs, but this has to be his masterpiece. Put crudely, this is one gnarly monster. Its white skin hangs in slabs off its torso, and most famous of all, its eyeballs are in the palms of its massive clawed hands. It's a masterclass in imaginative monster design. The Pale Man is played by a contortionist named Doug Jones, and he does an exceptional job with the creature's slow and erratic movements. And worst of all, this thing eats children. The entire sequence is ripped straight out of a nightmare, from the design of the monster to the way it slowly chases Ophelia down a long corridor. It's great stuff. Horrifying, but great. Number 5. 5. The Brundlefly. The Fly. David Cronenberg is a master of body horror, a subsection of the genre that's centered around the grotesque disfigurement of the human body.
I know what the disease wants.
What does the disease want?
It wants to turn me into something else.
And The Fly is his masterpiece. In this one, poor Seth Brundle starts slowly turning into the titular insect thanks to a scientific experiment gone horribly awry. The creature's effects were handled by Chris Wallace, who won the Academy Award for Best Makeup. He turns Jeff Goldblum into a horrific monster, and Seth's final transition from human to Brundlefly is truly one of the most disgusting things ever put on screen. The Brundlefly itself is a revolting work of art, an Oscar-winning work of art to be precise. Who says the Academy doesn't recognise genre movies? Number 4. Pennywise. It. The great thing about Pennywise is that it takes all sorts of different forms, ensuring that everyone gets at least a little creeped out.
Take it.
It's the entire point of its character. Scared of creepy clowns with sharp teeth and weird eyes? Well, that's its primary form. Scared of lepers whose limbs are slowly rotting off? Got that. What about headless corpses that chase you down dark hallways? Got that too. Surely this movie doesn't contain the greatest fear of all, a small cluster of intergalactic orbs that cause instant insanity and appear out of split clown heads? Well, guess what? Pennywise's taunting personality is also gleefully unnerving, and Bill Skarsgård does a wonderful job with the character's more malicious tendencies. Number 3. The Thing. The Thing. We never actually see the Thing. It's an alien entity that takes the physical form of those it assimilates, and in this case, a group of isolated scientists working in Antarctica.
It isn't Benny!
We never see the monster itself, we see the grotesque abominations it creates. Rob Bottin handled the movie's practical effects, and even to this day, they're heralded as some of the best in the business. His creatures are a delightful combination of inventive and disgusting, often accompanied by lots of tentacles and oozy goo. Take for instance the human head that dislodges itself from its body and turns into a spider. How they come up with this stuff, we don't know, but we're glad they did. Number 2. Shelob, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. While Shelob is little more than a giant spider, it nevertheless remains one of the scariest movie monsters in recent history. It works thanks in large part to the tension that director Peter Jackson wrings out of the character. We hear about Shelob in The Two Towers, but we don't get to her until well into The Return of the King. And even when we do, her appearance is preceded by an eerie cave filled with skeletons, hanging animal corpses, and massive webs. Shelob is one of the most dangerous creatures in the trilogy, and she nearly ends the entire quest when she stabs Frodo in the gut. If it weren't for Sam's quick thinking, they would have been done for.
Let him go, you filth.
Let him go!
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. The Plants. The Happening. Say what you will about this silly movie, but there's no denying the horrifying powers of those plants.
We're just here to use the bathroom. And we're just gonna leave. I hope that's okay.
It's a testament to M. Night Shyamalan's talent as a horror director. No, but seriously. Number 1. The Xenomorphs. Alien franchise. When you get down to it, the first Alien is just a slasher movie in space. Ridley Scott's masterpiece of sci-fi horror contains one of the all-time greatest movie monsters in its titular creature.
We found this laying there. No blood. No Dallas. Nothing.
The alien's physical design is iconic, complete with its weird oblong head and freaky little mouth within a mouth. Its introduction is also a timeless piece of movie history, as a chest-burster slowly eats its way out of Kane before scurrying off, covered in blood. The possibilities are endless when it comes to aliens, but sometimes the simplest designs are the most effective. This is just a tall, somewhat humanoid alien that hides in the air ducts and remorselessly eats people, and it remains horrific to this day.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.